Loving yourself isn't about perfection, appearance, or approval. It's about peace. And sometimes, peace requires walking away from people, from habits, from the versions of yourself that keep you small. Self-love isn't staying and hoping for change. It's leaving what destroys your soul. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't grow in the same patterns that keep you repeating pain. This audiobook isn't about letting go with bitterness. It's about letting go with strength. Because real love, true, grounded, self-respecting love, means knowing when to stop fighting for what's breaking you. You owe it to yourself to walk away, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about you. Chapter 1. Walking away is not weakness. Leaving doesn't make you weak. It means you've finally learned the difference between effort and self-sacrifice. For too long, we've been taught that love means staying no matter what. That real strength is endurance, holding on, forgiving endlessly, waiting for people to change. But that's not strength. That's survival disguised as loyalty. True strength is knowing when something is breaking you more than it's building you, and having the courage to walk away with grace, not guilt. There comes a point when holding on stops being love and starts being self-abandonment. When you're no longer fighting for connection, you're fighting to be seen. When every day feels like convincing someone of your worth instead of sharing peace. That's not love. That's exhaustion. And the longer you stay in spaces that drain you, the more you forget who you are outside of them. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the moment you finally realize you can't heal in the same place that hurt you. You can't save someone who refuses to change. You can only save yourself. You can love deeply and still decide to leave. You can care and still choose distance. You can forgive and still protect your peace. Because love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go before you lose yourself completely. And that's the kind of strength most people never understand. They'll call it selfish. They'll call it cold. But they'll never know the pain it took to walk away quietly when your heart still wanted to stay. The truth is, walking away is an act of self-respect. It's you saying, I deserve to be in spaces where love doesn't hurt this much. It's understanding that peace is not found in fixing what's broken beyond repair, but in freeing yourself from it. Because sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for someone is leave them with the consequences of their own behavior. You can't teach accountability to someone who benefits from your forgiveness. You can't build with someone who's comfortable watching you crumble. Real love should never require you to break yourself to prove it. Leaving is not giving up. It's growing up. It's realizing that your healing isn't found in someone else's apology. It's found in your decision to stop waiting for it. When you walk away, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim the parts of you that you had to hide just to keep the peace. Because love should never cost you your voice, your sleep, or your self-worth. If it does, it's not love, it's attachment. And attachments keep you stuck where you no longer belong. There's a quiet kind of strength in walking away. It's not loud. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't demand revenge or closure. It's a steady kind of peace that whispers, I'm done explaining myself. It's the decision to prioritize your sanity over someone else's chaos. It's learning to be okay with silence instead of begging to be understood. That's not weakness. That's emotional maturity. You can spend years hoping they'll change. Hoping they'll finally see your effort, match your energy, reciprocate your care. But hope without boundaries becomes self-harm. You can't heal a person who benefits from your brokenness. You can't love someone into becoming who they refuse to be. And you can't keep pouring into cups that only leak. Love isn't meant to drain you, it's meant to expand you. It's meant to bring out the best in you, not bury you beneath emotional exhaustion. So if loving them is costing you your peace, it's time to let go. Here's what no one tells you. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped loving them. It means you started loving yourself too. It means you finally realized that your worth doesn't depend on how long you can endure pain. It means you're no longer confusing effort with progress. It means you're choosing growth over guilt. And that's the beginning of real healing, when your heart finally learns that peace is more important than proximity. You will miss them. You will doubt yourself. You will replay the good moments and wonder if you made the right choice. That's normal. That's part of the grieving. But keep reminding yourself, missing someone doesn't mean you belong with them. It just means you're human. It means you cared deeply even when it hurt. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. What matters now is that you're choosing yourself. And that's something to be proud of. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It proves that your love is no longer dependent on pain. It means you've outgrown chaos. It means you've learned that peace is not something you beg for, it's something you protect. Because real strength isn't in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go with grace. Grace for yourself, for the other person, and for the journey that led you here. You can love them and still leave them. You can wish them healing and still choose distance. You can forgive them and still refuse to return. That's not coldness, that's closure. Letting go doesn't erase what was real. It just means you're no longer willing to let the past dictate your peace. You've learned that not every love story is meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach you what love isn't, so you'll never settle for less again. And that lesson, that painful, necessary lesson, becomes your strength. Because now you understand. Love without peace isn't love. Effort without respect isn't love. Staying when your soul is screaming to leave isn't love. It's fear. And fear ends where self-love begins. So if you're standing at the edge right now, torn between staying and saving yourself, remember this. You're not abandoning anyone. You're returning to yourself. You're not walking away because you're heartless. You're walking away because your heart finally knows what it deserves. Leaving doesn't make you weak. It makes you awake. It means you've learned the highest form of love. The kind that no longer demands you to lose yourself to prove it. Walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's self-love in motion. And it's the first step toward finally being at peace with yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful way to love is to leave. Chapter 2. Peace is a decision, not a destination. Peace isn't something you find, it's something you choose. And you don't choose it once. You choose it again and again. Every time your boundaries are tested, your worth is questioned, or your energy is pulled toward chaos. Because peace doesn't come wrapped in perfection. It comes wrapped in choices. The choice to walk away from what drains you. The choice to stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. The choice to stop chasing closure and start creating calm. Peace is not something the world gives you. It's something you give yourself. It begins the moment you stop explaining your worth to those who refuse to see it. Because your value was never meant to be negotiated. You don't have to keep proving your heart to people who can't meet you halfway. You don't have to keep re-explaining your intentions to those who twist them. You don't have to keep lowering your standards to make others comfortable. Peace begins when you stop auditioning for acceptance. When you stop fighting to be understood and start standing in your truth, quietly, confidently, unapologetically. The truth is, most people confuse peace with passivity. They think being peaceful means never confronting, never speaking up, never walking away. But peace isn't avoidance. It's alignment. Peace doesn't mean silence, it means balance. It doesn't mean pretending everything's okay, it means protecting your energy until it is. Because your energy is sacred. And if you give it away freely to every distraction, every argument, every insecurity, you'll have nothing left for your purpose. So protect it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your peace is your power source. Without it, your focus fades, your mind clutters, your spirit dims. Everything meaningful begins with inner stillness. Peace is not an external reward, it's an internal revolution. It's when you stop letting the world dictate your emotions. It's when you learn to stay calm even when chaos is screaming for your attention. It's when you no longer need control to feel secure. The world will always be noisy. People will always have opinions. Life will always have storms. But peace, real peace, is the ability to stand inside the storm and say, "This doesn't control me anymore." You don't find peace by fixing everything around you. You find it by fixing the way you respond to everything around you. It's an inner decision to stop matching energy and start maintaining it. You don't have to react to every trigger. You don't have to defend yourself against every misunderstanding. You don't have to chase validation from people who only offer it when it benefits them. Peace is the refusal to let anything disturb your emotional equilibrium. It's self-respect turned into silence. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Choosing peace doesn't mean you don't care. It means you finally care enough to protect your spirit. You can love people deeply and still choose distance. You can wish them well and still release them. You can forgive without returning. Peace doesn't require bitterness. It requires boundaries. You can be kind without being compliant. You can be compassionate without being controlled. That's the beauty of mature peace. It's not fragile, it's firm. It's not loud, it's grounded. It's not about escaping life. It's about mastering yourself within it. Peace is built in the small moments. When you stop checking the phone waiting for closure that will never come. When you choose to respond with calm instead of reaction. When you walk away from a conversation that's going nowhere. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you reclaim your energy. Every time you choose silence over drama, you strengthen your soul. Every time you choose presence over overthinking, you find peace waiting for you. Peace is not found in control, it's found in release. And here's the truth. Peace isn't permanent. You'll lose it sometimes. You'll let the world in too far. You'll overthink, overcare, overextend. But every time you notice that, you get to choose again. That's what makes peace powerful. It's not perfection, it's practice. Peace isn't a place you reach and stay. It's a decision you return to whenever you drift away. You can always start again. In the middle of chaos, in the middle of heartbreak, in the middle of noise, peace is always one deep breath and one firm boundary away. And when you start choosing peace repeatedly, people will notice. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you've stopped caring. But you haven't. You've just stopped allowing chaos to dictate your compassion. You've learned that peace isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. It's the realization that you can't pour from an empty soul. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do for others is to keep yourself grounded. Because when your heart is calm, your love is clear. And clear love heals more than chaotic love ever could. Protect your peace the way you protect your dreams, fiercely, daily, intentionally. Because peace is the foundation that every other good thing in life stands on. Without peace, success feels hollow. Without peace, love feels unstable. Without peace, life feels like survival. But with peace, even the smallest things begin to feel sacred. The morning sunlight, the quiet moments, the silence after you finally let something go. That's what real peace feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady and freeing. So from this moment on, make peace your daily decision. Choose it when your ego wants to argue. Choose it when your heart wants to chase. Choose it when your mind wants to spiral. Peace is power. Peace is maturity. Peace is self-respect in motion. You don't need to find it, you just need to stop surrendering it. It begins when you stop explaining your worth. It strengthens when you stop entertaining chaos. And it grows when you start protecting your energy like your life depends on it. Because it truly does. Peace is not a destination. It's a decision, one you make every day, every moment, every time you choose yourself. When you start doing that consistently, you'll realize peace was never something you were searching for. It was something you were always capable of creating. Chapter 3. You can love and still leave. Walking away doesn't erase love, it redefines it. Because love isn't measured by how tightly you hold on, but by how wisely you let go. You can love someone deeply and still know they're not right for your peace. You can care for their heart while protecting your own. You can wish them healing from a distance. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's self-respect in action. Most people believe that if you walk away, it means you never loved them enough. But the truth is, sometimes you love someone so much, you refuse to keep destroying each other in the name of connection. Sometimes staying is the betrayal. Because staying means abandoning yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Staying means giving more than you can sustain. Staying means sacrificing your mental health in the name of loyalty. And loyalty without balance isn't love, it's self-neglect. Love doesn't always mean staying until it's broken beyond repair. Sometimes love is the quiet decision to walk away before resentment replaces respect. Sometimes it's choosing to release not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring differently. You can honor the lesson without staying for the pain. Because love doesn't have to end in disaster to be real. It can end in gratitude. It can end in growth. It can end in peace. And when it does, that's not failure. That's closure. Leaving isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. It's understanding that love without boundaries isn't love, it's dependency. You can't keep saving people who refuse to save themselves. You can't keep sacrificing your peace for people who are comfortable in chaos. And you can't keep giving love that isn't being valued or returned. At some point, you have to realize that protecting your peace is not the same as giving up. It's choosing life over depletion. It's choosing clarity over confusion. It's choosing your future over your fear of being misunderstood. Love is not supposed to feel like survival. It's not supposed to drain your spirit or make you question your worth. Love is meant to build you, not break you. It's meant to grow you, not exhaust you. But when love becomes a cycle of pain, of over-explaining, of waiting for change that never comes, that's not love anymore. That's attachment. That's addiction to potential. And the hardest part is admitting it. Admitting that love alone isn't enough. That no amount of patience can fix what refuses to grow. You can love someone's soul and still know their presence no longer fits your path. You can appreciate the memories and still release the person. Because not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some are meant to show you who you are, what you need, and what you can no longer accept. That's the beauty and the heartbreak of love. It transforms you even when it ends. So stop believing that leaving means losing. You didn't lose them, you found yourself again. You didn't fail love. You learned what love should never cost. You can love and still leave. Because love is not ownership. It's not control. It's not endurance through endless pain. Love is a season, a mirror, a teacher. It comes to awaken you, not imprison you. And when the lesson is complete, love asks for release, not to punish but to preserve. You're allowed to love someone and still know that your peace matters more than your proximity. You're allowed to walk away from what's familiar in pursuit of what's healthy. That's not cold, that's clarity. There's strength in staying when things can be repaired. But there's power in leaving when they can't. Because walking away doesn't mean you stopped loving. It means you stopped allowing love to be defined by suffering. You've learned that love without peace isn't love. Love without mutual effort isn't partnership. And love without boundaries isn't intimacy, it's dependence. The love that requires you to lose yourself isn't love, it's captivity disguised as care. And the moment you understand that, you begin to heal. It takes strength to stay and build something real. But it takes greater strength to walk away when it's time. When the chapter is over, when the lesson is learned, when the cost outweighs the connection. Because walking away doesn't mean you stopped believing in love. It means you've learned what kind of love you're no longer willing to settle for. You've learned that peace is not negotiable. You've learned that your boundaries are not too much. You've learned that love shouldn't require you to abandon yourself just to keep it alive. That realization, that's evolution. You can still love them. You can still wish them happiness. You can still cherish what was beautiful between you. But love doesn't demand access. Love doesn't demand sacrifice. Love doesn't demand that you stay in spaces that silence your soul. You can carry love without carrying pain. You can keep the memory without keeping the chaos. You can release them without resentment, and that's the highest form of healing. Because love that ends in peace was never wasted. It was fulfilled. So if your heart still aches but your peace feels louder, trust that feeling. That's your soul telling you it's time. Time to let go. Time to choose yourself. Time to believe that real love will never require you to lose your identity to prove it. Because love isn't meant to hurt this much. It's meant to free you, not chain you. And sometimes the only way to love someone fully is to love them from afar. You can love and still leave. Because walking away doesn't erase love, it redefines it. It turns heartbreak into healing, pain into perspective, endings into evolution. You're not walking away because you've stopped loving. You're walking away because you've started listening to your peace, to your intuition, to your worth. That's not betrayal. That's transformation. That's self-respect becoming self-love. And that's the kind of love that never leaves you again. Chapter 4. Stop trying to fix what's not yours to fix. You can't heal someone by breaking yourself. You can love deeply, care endlessly, and give everything you have, but you still can't save someone who refuses to meet you halfway. Because taking responsibility for another person's growth is not love. It's control disguised as care. And no matter how hard you try, you can't carry someone's healing on your back without collapsing under the weight of it. The only person you are meant to save is yourself. It's human nature to want to help. To see potential in someone and believe your love can bring it out. To think, if I just love harder, they'll change. If I just stay longer, they'll heal. But that's not love. That's hope turned into self-harm. It's trying to build a home inside someone else's storm. You can stand beside someone while they heal, but you can't do the healing for them. You can inspire change, but you can't force it. You can guide, but you can't drag. Because the moment you start trying to fix someone, you stop seeing them as capable. And you start seeing yourself as their savior. That's not connection, that's control. Love was never meant to be rescue work. It's meant to be reflection, a mirror, not a mission. You can show someone what peace looks like, but they still have to choose it. You can model consistency, but they still have to commit. You can share wisdom, but they still have to listen. The truth is, you can't change someone who doesn't want to evolve. And the harder you try, the more you lose yourself in the process. Because every ounce of energy you spend fixing others is energy stolen from your own healing. You can't rebuild yourself and someone else at the same time. Most people who try to fix others aren't doing it from ego, they're doing it from empathy. They see the pain, the potential, the goodness hiding beneath the wounds. They think, if I just love them enough, I can help them see what I see. But here's the painful truth, your love can't substitute their self-awareness. Your patience can't replace their accountability. Your effort can't erase their patterns. People only change when they decide their comfort is more painful than their growth. And until that happens, no amount of love will be enough. You can't teach someone to value peace if they thrive on chaos. You can't teach honesty to someone who hides behind denial. You can't teach empathy to someone who uses your kindness as a cushion for their behavior. At some point, you have to stop trying to help and start recognizing what's actually happening. You're keeping yourself stuck in someone else's lesson. You're not healing them, you're delaying your own evolution. You were never meant to be someone's emotional crutch, therapist, or teacher. You were meant to be a mirror, a reflection of what love could look like when it's healthy. But mirrors don't chase people to make them see their reflection. They simply stand there, clear, still, honest. That's what love with boundaries looks like. It doesn't fix, it reflects. It doesn't control, it chooses. It doesn't beg, it balances. Because love without boundaries isn't noble. It's self-destruction disguised as compassion. You can't heal someone by losing yourself. You can't teach peace by living in their chaos. You can't show them how to love themselves by proving you'll tolerate being unloved. That's not healing. That's martyrdom. And martyrdom doesn't lead to connection. It leads to emptiness. You are not responsible for anyone's transformation except your own. You can support people, but you can't save them. You can guide them, but you can't grow for them. You are allowed to stop trying. You are allowed to put the burden down. You are allowed to choose yourself, not out of selfishness but out of sanity. It's not your job to fix someone's trauma. It's your job to heal from your need to fix. Because sometimes the compulsion to help comes from your own wound, the one that believes you must earn love through saving others. That you're only worthy when you're useful. That you're only lovable when you're selfless. But love isn't about sacrificing your peace to prove your loyalty. It's about giving freely, without losing balance. It's about being whole enough to stand beside someone, not beneath them. Your love doesn't need to be rescue work. It needs to be real work, grounded, equal, mutual. The moment you realize that fixing people isn't your purpose, freedom begins. You stop forcing. You stop rescuing. You stop bleeding for those who never asked to heal. You start releasing the guilt. You start returning home, to yourself. And in that return you remember something powerful. You were never here to carry anyone else's wounds. You were here to heal your own. Because when you heal yourself, you inspire others to do the same. Not through control, but through example. That's how real transformation happens. Not through saving, but through showing. So from today forward, release the pressure to fix what isn't yours. You can't control someone's readiness. You can't decide their timing. You can't accelerate their healing. You can love them and still let them learn their own lessons. You can care and still choose distance. You can hope for their growth and still walk away for your peace. That's not giving up. That's growing up. Because love that requires you to shrink isn't love. It's obligation. And you were never born to be someone's emotional glue. You were born to be whole. So remember this. You can't heal someone by breaking yourself. You can't fix people who aren't ready to face themselves. You can't build peace for anyone else until you build it within. The only person you are meant to save is you. And when you finally do, you'll realize something beautiful. You never had to fix anyone to be worthy of love. You only had to stop fixing others to finally feel free. Stop trying to fix what's not yours to fix. Heal yourself. Protect your peace. Love without losing balance. Because saving yourself was always the real act of love. Chapter 5. When energy doesn't match, love won't last. Consistency matters more than chemistry. Peace matters more than passion. Because love that only excites you but never grounds you will burn bright and die fast. And love that brings chaos disguised as intensity will drain you while convincing you its depth. You can't build something real on energy that isn't aligned. When energy doesn't match, love won't last. Most people fall in love with potential, not patterns. They fall for the moments of magic, not the reality of effort. They confuse emotional highs with emotional health. But chemistry alone can't sustain connection. Because chemistry is spark. Consistency is fuel. And when the spark fades, as it always does, only effort keeps the fire alive. If someone's energy doesn't match your commitment, your pace, or your peace, it doesn't matter how much history you share. Love without alignment is just longing in disguise. You can't build balance in a relationship where only one person is standing steady. You can't carry both the connection and the consistency. Because when you start carrying both, it's no longer love, it's labor. And love should not feel like a full-time job where you're the only one showing up. It should feel like a rhythm, two energies moving in harmony, not one chasing the other. When you're the only one trying to hold things together, what you're feeling isn't love anymore. It's survival. When you're forcing connection, it's no longer alignment, it's attachment. And attachment isn't romantic, it's exhausting. It's the loop of trying to convince someone to see your value instead of being appreciated for it. It's loving someone's potential while ignoring their pattern. It's waiting for effort that never comes. Attachment says, maybe if I just try harder, they'll show up differently. But alignment says, if I have to beg for effort, it's not my place to stay. That's the difference between holding on and honoring yourself. Love is supposed to expand you, not shrink you. It's supposed to bring peace, not confusion. It's supposed to make you feel safe, not small. When you find yourself constantly overthinking, overcompensating, or over-explaining, that's not love, that's imbalance. Because when energy isn't mutual, even kindness feels like effort. You start analyzing every word, every delay, every shift in tone, trying to make sense of a connection that isn't being nurtured equally. And the saddest part? You start believing that loving harder might fix it. But love doesn't fix misalignment, it exposes it. You can't outgive inconsistency. You can't outlove someone's emotional unavailability. You can't outpatience someone's unwillingness to grow. No matter how much you care, no matter how strong the connection feels, love built on imbalance will eventually break under its own weight. Because love only thrives when both energies invest equally. When both people are choosing each other with the same intensity, the same intention, the same integrity. Anything less becomes one-sided effort. And one-sided effort always leads to quiet resentment. You deserve a love that doesn't make you question your worth. A love that doesn't need to be chased to feel secure. A love that feels like partnership, not performance. Because real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you doubt where you stand. It doesn't feel like you're auditioning for affection. Real love is calm. It's steady. It's reliable. Feels like exhale, not tension. And the right energy will never require you to fight for consistency. Chemistry can make you feel alive, but consistency is what keeps you whole. Because passion without peace becomes chaos. And excitement without effort becomes emptiness. Don't mistake intensity for intimacy. Just because something feels powerful doesn't mean it's healthy. Sometimes the strongest connections are karmic, designed to wake you up, not stay forever. And once they've served their purpose, you're meant to learn, not linger. Energy doesn't lie. You can feel when someone's heart isn't in it. You can sense when their words don't match their actions. You can tell when you're giving more than you're getting. You just keep hoping they'll meet you where you are. But hope without reciprocity becomes self-delusion. And no matter how much you love them, you can't do the work for both people. Because love doesn't survive on emotion, it survives on effort. When effort disappears, so does connection. Alignment is not about perfection. It's about rhythm. It's about two people choosing the same direction, not one dragging the other there. You don't need someone who matches your energy perfectly. You just need someone who respects it enough to meet you halfway. Someone who communicates. Someone who shows up. Someone who understands that love isn't something you feel once. It's something you practice every day. That's what makes love last. Love should feel like growth, not survival. It should water you, not wither you. It should make you more yourself, not less. When you have to fight for peace, it's not love anymore. It's persistence born out of fear. Fear of loss. Fear of starting over. Fear of being alone. But staying where energy doesn't match doesn't save love. It slowly kills it. Because love without peace becomes chaos. And chaos, no matter how passionate, never lasts. So if you're in a place where you're giving everything and getting confusion in return, pause. Breathe. Step back. Ask yourself, is this connection nurturing me or draining me? Is this love expanding me or exhausting me? Is this alignment or attachment? Because the truth is simple. You have to force it, it's not flowing. And love that doesn't flow will always fade. The right love will never make you chase. It will meet you in the middle. It will match your energy, not just your words. It will be consistent, not conditional. It won't demand that you lose yourself to keep it. It will honor you for exactly who you are and help you become even more. Because the right energy doesn't drain you, it builds you. So remember this. When energy doesn't match, love won't last. No matter how strong the connection feels, no matter how deep the chemistry goes, if peace isn't present, love can't survive. You can't create harmony where alignment doesn't exist. And you can't find fulfillment in something that costs your peace. Choose consistency over chemistry. Choose calm over chaos. Choose alignment over attachment. Because love isn't meant to feel like survival. It's meant to feel like growth. Chapter 6. Choose yourself without guilt. Guilt is the mind's way of keeping you loyal to your own pain. It whispers, you're doing something wrong by putting yourself first. But the truth is, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's strength. It's the moment you finally remember your worth after forgetting it for too long. The world has conditioned you to believe that love means self-sacrifice, that choosing others before yourself makes you good, kind, noble. But what good is kindness if it costs you your peace? What good is love if it keeps you empty? At some point, you must understand, you can't keep betraying yourself just to make others comfortable. That's not loyalty. That's self-abandonment. Choosing yourself is not rejection. It's realignment. It's realizing that your needs matter too. That your voice, your boundaries, your energy, they all deserve protection. And yet, the moment you start choosing yourself, guilt shows up. It tells you you're being selfish, that you're letting people down, that you owe the world your endless availability. But guilt doesn't come from truth, it comes from conditioning. From years of believing that love equals sacrifice, and boundaries equal betrayal. You were taught to feel bad for resting, to apologize for saying no, to over-explain your peace. And every time you did, you made yourself smaller, just to stay accepted. But peace doesn't grow in guilt. It grows in ownership. And the moment you stop apologizing for protecting your energy, peace finally enters. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-caring at the expense of your sanity. It means you love without losing balance. You help without harming your own heart. You give, but not to the point of emptiness. You start learning the difference between compassion and compliance, between loyalty and loss, between love and self-erasure. Because you can be loving and still say no. You can be kind and still walk away. You can care deeply and still choose distance when your peace demands it. That's not selfish, that's wisdom. Guilt tries to convince you that boundaries hurt people. But boundaries don't hurt people. They just disappoint the ones who benefited from your lack of them. People who truly love you won't be offended when you start loving yourself. They'll respect it. They'll adapt to it. Because real love honors balance, not burnout. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. You don't need to justify why you need rest, silence, or space. Peace doesn't require permission. The moment you stop apologizing for your boundaries, you start reclaiming your power. You begin to remember that your worth doesn't depend on how much you give or how little you demand. You begin to trust that your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Because not everyone values your presence the same way. And not everyone who wants your attention has earned your energy. You have to stop confusing availability with love. You can't heal by constantly handing your peace to those who break it. You can't find yourself in spaces that require you to lose yourself. Choosing yourself isn't about ignoring others. It's about remembering that you exist too. That you deserve the same patience, kindness, and forgiveness you offer everyone else. It's realizing that saying yes to yourself sometimes means saying no to others, and that's okay. Because self-respect will always be more valuable than external validation. The truth is, guilt fades but resentment doesn't. And every time you say yes when you want to say no, a quiet resentment starts to grow. A resentment toward others and even worse, toward yourself. And that resentment will drain your spirit faster than any argument ever could. You don't owe your peace to people who misuse your empathy. You don't owe your time to people who only show up when they need something. You don't owe your forgiveness to those who keep choosing to hurt you. At some point, you have to stop negotiating your boundaries just to be liked. You have to stop explaining your standards to people committed to misunderstanding them. Because peace isn't found through people, it's found through permission. Permission to protect your space. Permission to honor your energy. Permission to walk away without guilt. When you start choosing yourself, everything changes. The conversations, the priorities, the people, all of it. Because peace has a way of revealing who was only comfortable with your chaos. You'll notice how some people fade when you stop overgiving. You'll see who resents your boundaries instead of respecting them. You'll realize who loved the version of you that never said no, not the version that finally started healing. And yes, it hurts at first. But that pain is the cost of evolution. Because your peace will never fit inside the spaces that depended on your self-abandonment. Choosing yourself without guilt means finally making peace with disappointment. It means understanding that not everyone will understand your healing. And that's okay. Because your peace isn't up for debate. Your growth doesn't require validation. Your boundaries aren't open to negotiation. You're allowed to choose the kind of life that feels like freedom, not obligation. You're allowed to protect your time, your focus, your heart. You're allowed to rest without guilt, to say no without fear, to walk away without apology. Because you've spent enough time explaining yourself. Now it's time to honor yourself. So, if guilt tries to whisper that you're doing something wrong, remind yourself. You're not abandoning people, you're returning to yourself. You're not rejecting love, you're redefining it. You're not being selfish, you're being sovereign. Because self-love isn't arrogance, it's awareness. It's knowing that peace isn't selfish, it's survival. And that you don't have to destroy yourself to prove that you care. Choose yourself without guilt. Because your healing matters. Your peace matters. Your boundaries matter. You've spent years showing up for everyone else. Now it's time to show up for you. And when you finally do, you'll realize you never lost your peace. You were just giving it away to everyone but yourself. Chapter 7. Silence is also an answer. You don't need to argue to prove your point. Your peace speaks louder. Because the truth doesn't need to shout to be real. And not every battle deserves your words. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. When words stop being respected, your absence will deliver the message. Because silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's clarity choosing dignity over chaos. You see, silence is not about running away. It's about rising above. It's realizing that not every noise deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves an audience. There's a quiet power in stepping back instead of reacting. In choosing calm over confrontation. In deciding that your peace is worth more than proving a point. Because arguing with someone committed to misunderstanding you is not communication. It's chaos. And no amount of explanation can convince a mind that's already made up. At some point, you must understand, peace doesn't need defending. It just needs protecting. Silence is not passive, it's presence. It's the moment you reclaim your energy from conversations that go nowhere. It's when you decide your mental health matters more than your need to be right. The old version of you wanted to explain everything, to clear every rumor, to fix every misunderstanding, to make people see your heart. But the healed version of you knows that your energy is too precious for that. That silence can do what words can't, expose truth over time. Because when you stop explaining yourself, the right people won't need it, and the wrong people will never believe it anyway. Sometimes silence is the only language chaos understands. When you stop feeding energy into the noise fades. When you stop reacting, manipulation loses its grip. When you stop engaging, patterns start to reveal themselves. Your silence creates space, and in that space, truth begins to echo. Because silence is not absence. It's presence without participation. It's you saying, "I've outgrown this conversation." It's maturity choosing self-control over self-defense. There's strength in restraint. It takes courage to walk away from arguments that tempt your pride. To resist the urge to correct every false story. To stop proving your worth to people who profit from doubting it. You don't have to convince anyone of your intentions when your actions already speak for you. You don't have to fight for understanding when your peace is proof of your growth. Because silence is not surrender, it's strategy. It's knowing when to stop speaking because your soul is tired of being unheard. When you choose silence, you're not backing down, you're standing firm. You're saying, "I refuse to lower my energy to match your chaos." You're protecting your boundaries without needing to announce them. And that's what true maturity looks like, quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't react to everything that tries to trigger it. People often mistake silence for indifference. But silence isn't indifference, it's discipline. It's your ability to separate emotion from reaction. It's your understanding that not everything deserves your access. The loudest lessons often come through quiet exits. When you stop arguing, stop proving, stop explaining, life becomes lighter. You realize that peace was never about winning the argument, it was about choosing not to engage in it. Not everything needs closure. Not everyone deserves a response. Sometimes the closure is your calm. Sometimes the answer is your silence. Because silence doesn't leave questions unanswered, it just leaves unworthy questions unaddressed. Your silence will tell people everything they need to know. It will show them who they were when they thought you'd never stop giving. It will reveal who valued your peace and who fed on your reaction. It will expose who deserves your energy and who only sought attention. You don't have to slam the door. You don't have to make a speech. You don't have to burn bridges. Just stop crossing them. Let your silence be the echo of your evolution. The truth is, peace is loud when you've lived through enough noise. And silence, once you embrace it, becomes your greatest shield. You start to feel your power returning, not because you won but because you stopped needing to. You stop fighting battles that drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people who never listened. You stop defending peace to those who thrive in chaos. And for the first time you feel weightless. Because silence removes the need for validation and replaces it with clarity. Silence doesn't always mean you don't care. Sometimes, it means you care too much to keep fighting a losing battle. It means you've realized that energy spent arguing could be better spent healing. That words thrown into chaos don't create understanding, they create exhaustion. You can love people and still stay silent. You can forgive and still walk away. You can care and still choose distance. Because silence doesn't erase emotion, it just refines it. So the next time you feel the urge to defend yourself, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, does this deserve my peace? If the answer is no, then choose silence. Because silence doesn't mean you lost, it means you learned. You learned that not every truth needs to be spoken, not every wound needs to be witnessed, and not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Your peace is too sacred for endless explanations. Let your actions speak. Let your silence echo. Because time always reveals what words can't. Silence is also an answer. It's not avoidance, it's awareness. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the calm that comes when you finally realize that your peace will always speak louder than your pain. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove. You don't need to explain. Your silence says it all. And it always will. Chapter 8. Healing is lonely but worth it. Walking away feels empty at first, but emptiness is space for something new. It's the clearing before the rebuilding. It's the silence before peace begins to speak. Healing isn't comfortable. It's necessary. Because healing means facing the truth without your usual distractions. It means sitting in silence with everything you used to avoid. It means feeling the pain you kept postponing and realizing that the only way out is through. We romanticize healing like it's a beautiful process. Soft music, calm mornings, self-care. But real healing? It's messy. It's lonely. It's days when you feel proud one moment and completely broken the next. It's missing people you had to walk away from. It's doubting your progress even while you're growing. Healing doesn't feel like victory, not at first. It feels like loss. Because to heal, you have to let go of everything that once felt safe, even if it was slowly destroying you. That's the paradox of healing. You feel worse before you feel free. When you finally walk away from what hurt you, your mind panics. Because pain was familiar. And familiarity feels safe, even when it's toxic. You'll start to miss what broke you. You'll crave the comfort of chaos. You'll wonder if maybe you were overreacting, maybe you should have stayed, maybe it wasn't that bad. But that's not your intuition, that's your trauma speaking. It's the part of you addicted to pain, mistaking intensity for love. Healing begins when you stop running back to what hurt you just because it's familiar. It's when you learn to sit with the discomfort of peace. Every lonely night builds emotional muscle. Every quiet morning you spend sitting with your thoughts instead of escaping them, that's strength being built in silence. Because healing isn't loud. It's not about dramatic breakthroughs. It's small decisions repeated daily. It's choosing not to text them when your heart misses them. It's choosing to forgive without needing an apology. It's choosing to stay present even when your past is screaming for attention. That's what emotional maturity looks like. Pain turned into patience. Healing will test your limits. It will make you question everything, your worth, your choices, your progress. You'll feel alone even when surrounded by people. You'll feel misunderstood, unseen, unsure. But that's because healing isolates you before it aligns you. It pulls you away from what no longer resonates so it can prepare you for what will. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. And every ounce of pain you feel right now is preparing you for the peace you once prayed for. Pain is how peace prepares you. It breaks what's false so you can rebuild what's real. It strips away illusions, attachments, and expectations, until all that's left is truth. And truth is what sets you free. You can't carry old wounds into new chapters and expect peace to stay. You can't keep running from your feelings and expect to find clarity. You can't avoid loneliness and still expect to meet your higher self. Healing requires isolation. Not forever, just long enough for you to hear your own voice again. There's a reason healing feels lonely. You're no longer seeking distractions to avoid yourself. You're finally meeting the parts of you that were ignored. The child who was never heard. The version of you that kept settling. The person who thought love meant endurance. Healing forces you to confront them, not to punish you but to unite you. To remind you that you were never broken, just buried beneath pain you didn't know how to release. And in those lonely moments, something beautiful happens. You start to become your own safe place. You start trusting yourself again. You start feeling whole without validation. You start realizing that peace doesn't come from fixing others. It comes from forgiving yourself. Slowly, the emptiness stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like freedom. You begin to see that the silence isn't absence, it's clarity. That loneliness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Because healing doesn't remove the pain, it rewrites the relationship you have with it. It teaches you that not every wound means weakness. Some wounds were wisdom in disguise. One day you'll wake up and realize you're not angry anymore. You're not waiting for closure. You're not replaying old conversations in your head. You'll think about them and feel nothing but peace. That's the moment healing completes its work quietly. No announcement. No big realization. Just calm. Just freedom. Just you, finally whole again. Healing takes time and time takes faith. You won't always see progress, but it's happening beneath the surface. Every tear, every silence, every lonely night, it's building a stronger, softer you. You're not weak for feeling lonely, you're healing from needing to be dependent on anything that hurt you. And that's the most powerful kind of transformation, the one that doesn't look impressive but feels peaceful. So yes, healing is lonely, but that loneliness is holy. It's the sacred space where your old self dies and your new self is born. Don't rush it. Don't resist it. Let it do its work. Because every painful pause is preparing you for a peaceful life. And every lonely night is proof that you're choosing wholeness over what's hollow. Healing is lonely but worth it. Because loneliness is where strength is born. Because pain is where peace learns to grow. And because silence, the same silence that once scared you, will one day feel like home. Chapter 9. Your value doesn't need validation. You are not defined by who chooses you, stays with you, or understands you. Your value isn't up for debate. It's inherent even when forgotten. You were valuable before anyone noticed you. You were worthy before anyone validated you. And you will remain so even when no one claps for you. Because your worth is not a reflection of how others see you, it's a reflection of how deeply you remember yourself. We grow up craving approval. As children, we learn that praise equals love. That validation equals safety. That being seen means we matter. But somewhere along the way, that need turns into dependency. We start chasing applause instead of authenticity. We start molding ourselves into what others expect just to be accepted. And slowly, without realizing it, we trade self-respect for recognition. We start believing that our value increases when someone chooses us, and decreases when they don't. But that's not truth. That's conditioning. And it's time to unlearn it. Your value doesn't increase when someone finally sees it. It was always there. Their recognition doesn't create your worth. It just mirrors it. You are not special because someone picked you. You are special because you existed long before anyone's opinion. Stop letting people's presence determine your purpose. Stop letting people's absence make you question it. Because the truth is, people's inability to value you doesn't mean you're unworthy. It just means their perception is limited. You don't need to perform to be loved. You don't need to explain to be understood. You don't need to prove to be enough. You are already enough. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. The moment you stop chasing validation, self-respect becomes your natural state. You start walking differently, not arrogantly but quietly confident. You stop begging for closure, attention, or reassurance. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. Because you realize it was never their job to see you. It was yours. Validation feels good, yes. It's human to want to be seen, appreciated, acknowledged. But the danger begins when it becomes your fuel. Because when you rely on validation, your peace becomes conditional. It rises and falls with other people's approval. One compliment, you feel alive. One rejection, you feel invisible. One misunderstanding, and you start questioning your entire identity. That's not self-worth, that's emotional dependency. And it leaves you at the mercy of opinions that were never stable to begin with. The truth is, not everyone will see you clearly. Some people will only notice your light when it benefits their darkness. Some will only value your energy when it's missing. And some will misunderstand you no matter how gently you explain yourself. But that's not your problem to fix. You are not here to convince the world of your worth. You are here to embody it. You are here to live in such alignment that their misunderstanding no longer shakes you. You are here to walk in self-respect so deeply that validation becomes irrelevant. There's freedom in no longer needing to be liked. Freedom in letting go of the need to be chosen. Freedom in realizing that people's inability to value you says everything about them, and nothing about you. Because worth is not something you earn, it's something you remember. When you finally understand that, the anxiety to prove disappears. You stop performing for attention. You stop begging to be seen. You stop explaining to people who don't want to understand. You begin to move in silence, anchored in your own truth. Validation feels like comfort, but self-respect feels like power. And once you taste that power, you'll never want to go back. You'll stop texting first just to be acknowledged. You'll stop over-explaining your emotions to people who listen only to respond. You'll stop chasing half-effort connections just to feel needed. Because you'll realize, peace doesn't need permission. And love, real love, doesn't need convincing. You'll stop looking outward for the validation that was supposed to come from within. The moment you stop chasing validation, you start attracting alignment. You start drawing people and opportunities that match your authenticity. You start feeling whole, because your worth no longer depends on being seen, but on being self-aware. You'll begin to understand that losing people isn't failure, it's filtering. That rejection isn't personal, it's redirection. That solitude isn't emptiness, it's clarity. And that anyone who can't value your presence doesn't deserve your peace. You were never too much. You were just in spaces that preferred less. You were never unworthy. You were just surrounded by people who didn't know how to recognize depth. You don't need to dim your light to stay visible to the wrong eyes. You don't need to lower your frequency to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You don't need to shrink your truth to make others feel secure. Your worth doesn't need to be proven. It just needs to be remembered. So from today, remind yourself, your value is not conditional. It doesn't depend on who validates it, supports it, or stays to witness it. It doesn't rise with praise or fall with criticism. You are not valuable because you're loved. You're loved because you are valuable. And anyone who can't see that was never meant to define you in the first place. Your value doesn't need validation, because validation fades. But self-respect lasts. You are not defined by who chooses you, stays with you, or understands you. You define yourself through how you love, how you grow, how you choose peace over proving. Once you stop seeking validation, you stop living in fear. You stop chasing acceptance. You start standing in your truth. And that's when life changes. Because the moment you stop begging to be seen, you finally become unshakable. Chapter 10. Leaving is the beginning, not the end. Walking away is not the final chapter. It's the prologue to your real life. It's not the end of your story. It's the moment the story finally starts to tell the truth. Because every ending that protects your peace is actually a beginning disguised as goodbye. We fear leaving because we confuse endings with loss. We think walking away means failure or that it means we gave up too soon. But leaving isn't quitting, it's choosing yourself. It's realizing that peace isn't something you find by staying, it's something you reclaim by letting go. You see, closure isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. It's not a conversation or an apology or an explanation. It's a decision. A moment of truth when you say, I deserve better even if I never get an ending that makes sense. Closure isn't when they finally understand what they lost. It's when you finally understand what you deserve. And once you reach that point, walking away doesn't feel like running, feels like returning. The moment you leave something that was breaking you, you don't lose yourself. You meet yourself. You start to hear your own voice again beneath the noise of trying to be enough for everyone else. You start to feel your energy return, your peace expand, your heart soften. Because leaving isn't about escaping. It's about reclaiming. Reclaiming your identity. Reclaiming your voice. Reclaiming your right to exist without exhaustion. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It means you're finally ready to stop living in survival mode. Endings are hard because we want them to make sense. We want them to feel fair, clean, complete. But healing doesn't always come wrapped in clarity. Sometimes it just comes wrapped in peace. You won't always get the words you wanted to hear. You won't always get the apology you deserve. And that's okay. Because healing doesn't depend on their understanding, it depends on your release. You don't need closure from them when you've made peace with yourself. You don't need answers from others when you've finally stopped questioning your own worth. That's when you realize walking away was never the end. It was the doorway to freedom. Every time you leave what no longer aligns with your peace, life expands. You create space for the new peace, new purpose, new people. The emptiness that feels unbearable right now, that space being cleared for something greater. That's your soul making room for what's next. Because endings are never just endings. They're transformations in disguise. They're life's way of saying, you've outgrown this version of yourself. It's time for more. When you leave, you're not walking into nothing, you're walking into possibility. You're walking into stillness where your mind finally rests. You're walking into clarity where your truth finally feels loud enough to guide you. You're walking into strength, built from every step you were once afraid to take. And one day what feels like loss will make sense. You'll look back and realize that everything you walked away from was leading you to yourself. Because sometimes, Peace doesn't arrive until you finally choose to leave what blocks it. Leaving takes courage. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, not because you don't know it's right, but because it means walking into uncertainty. It means trusting that the loneliness won't last forever. It means believing that endings aren't punishment, they're protection. It means reminding yourself that the peace that feels far away is waiting just beyond your fear. You can't receive new blessings while clinging to old battles. You can't move forward while staring backward. You can't grow while staying planted in what refuses to nourish you. Leaving is not rejection, it's redirection. The day you stop waiting for closure and start walking in clarity, something shifts. The weight lifts. The pain softens. And for the first time, you feel light. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally stopped carrying what wasn't yours. That's what leaving really is. The moment you stop dragging what's heavy just because you're afraid of being empty. That emptiness is not a void, it's a beginning. A blank page waiting for the story you were too tired to write before. And here's the truth. Leaving doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the memories vanish or the love disappears. It means you've accepted that some stories aren't meant to continue. Some people were lessons, not lifetimes. And that's okay. Not everything that ends is a loss. Some endings are answers. Every goodbye that preserves your peace is a victory, not a defeat. Every step away from chaos is a step toward clarity. Because love is not meant to trap you. It's meant to teach you. And when it's done teaching, you're meant to move forward, not backward. So when you finally walk away, don't call it an ending. Call it a beginning. A beginning of self-trust. A beginning of peace. A beginning of the version of you that doesn't beg to be understood, but stands firm in understanding yourself. Leaving is not the closing of your story. It's the moment your real story begins. One rooted in truth, balance, and peace. Because when you walk away from what wasn't right for you, you walk straight into everything that finally is. Leaving is the beginning, not the end. Because endings that protect your peace aren't losses, they're liberation. And every goodbye that honors your worth is really your soul saying, I'm ready for what's next. Loving yourself isn't about staying where it's familiar, it's about walking where you're free. You've learned that peace costs people, that self-worth costs approval, that growth costs comfort. But nothing is more expensive than staying in a place that breaks you. You can love people deeply and still choose distance. You can wish them healing and still choose silence. The moment you walk away from what hurts, you walk toward who you're meant to be. You don't owe explanations to anyone who benefited from your lack of boundaries. You owe peace to yourself. So let go with strength. Leave with love. And never forget, walking away isn't quitting. It's coming home.